Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Parikshit Luthra and here are the headlines we are tracking this evening. Sensex and Nifty end with minor gains led by financials. Sensex remains within touching distance of the 65,000 mark. Midcaps continue to outperform the blue chips. Mukesh Ambani will stay as the chairman of Reliance Industries for the next 5 years. Proposes the induction of Isha, Akash and Anant Ambani to the company's board at the 46th annual general meeting. Ambani expresses confidence in creating value multiple times greater in the coming decade than over the past 45 years. The Jio brand takes center stage at the AGM. JioAirFiber, to be launched in a few weeks to offer fixed wireless broadband service, promises India-specific artificial intelligence models. Ambani also says marquee investors are showing interest in RelianceRetail, which is now valued at $100 billion. The government says that 58 companies, including all major laptop companies, have applied for the revised IT hardware PLI scheme. Add that there won't be any more extension to the 31st August deadline. The deadline for the 17,000 crore financial incentive scheme was extended in July. The Reserve Bank flags rapid growth in unsecured lending by NBFCs in a recent meeting with senior executives, asks companies to be aware of the risks associated and asks them to make adequate provisions. NBFC CEOs highlighted the role of fintech companies in driving the expansion. 3.2 crore Zomato shares worth 288 crore rupees change hands on the bourses via multiple block deals. The lock-in period for investors post the Blinkit deal ended on the 25th of August. The transactions took place at 90 rupees per share. Former Governor of Bank of England Mark Carney says US Fed is adopting the right approach to balance uncertainties, warns that China's growth slowdown could be structural and not cyclical. Also add that the core of the global banking system is in strong shape. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. The government introduces additional curbs on basmati rice to prevent export of non-basmati rice through misclassification. Only exports of 1,200 rupees per metric ton and above to be registered for certification. Anything below that will be kept in abeyance for evaluation. Foxconn founder Terry Gou joins the Taiwan presidential race as an independent for 2024 elections, promises to bring 50 years of peace to Taiwan Strait in 4 years. Also vows to not let Taiwan become the next Ukraine. NeerajChopra becomes the first Indian to win gold at the World Athletics Championships in Budapest, records a throw of 88.17 meters. Indian men's 400 meters relay team finishes fifth in the finals after setting a new Asian record in the semis. The next generation has been inducted into the board of Reliance Industries. Yes, we're getting you all the big news from Reliance Industries right now. Mukesh Ambani will remain as the chairman for the next 5 years. Those are among the slew of big announcements from the Reliance annual general meeting. In a 2-hour-long speech, there were a slew of new launches, including JioAirFiber, a fixed wireless broadband service. Mukesh Ambani expects RelianceRetail to be the fastest growing business in the group in terms of revenue. Retail business is now valued at more than $100 billion, and Ambani hinted at potential new investments by marquee players. Here are the key highlights from the Reliance AGM.
I am supremely confident that the value that your company will create for all its stakeholders over the next decade will be multiple times greater than what it has generated over the past 45 years. With a heart overflowing with happiness, I welcome Isha, Akash and Anant to the Reliance board. And I call upon all of you, my dear shareholders, to extend your blessings and best wishes to Isha, Akash and Anant. JioAirFiber uses our pan-India 5G network and advanced wireless technologies to bypass the need for last-mile fiber. With JioAirFiber, we can supercharge this expansion with up to 150,000 connections per day. This is a 10-fold increase, expanding our addressable market over the next 3 years to over 200 million high-paying homes and premises. And through fixed mobile convergence, we can foster greater engagement and loyalty among Indian households, especially premium households. I am delighted to announce that JioAirFiber will launch on the auspicious occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi on 19th September. We stand committed to create up to 2,000 megawatts of AI-ready computing capacity across both cloud and edge locations. And we will do this while adopting sustainable practices and a greener future. Over the next 5 years, we plan to shift most of our energy footprint in connectivity and digital services to green energy, which is not just eco-friendly, but also lower cost. Here is my promise to our countrymen. 7 years ago, Jio promised broadband connectivity to everyone, everywhere. We have delivered. Today, Jio promises AI to everyone, everywhere.
And you can catch all the highlights of Reliance's annual general meeting at 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. On to the day's market action now. Dalal Street ended the day with minor gains. Nifty and Sensex gain 0.25% each. The broader markets outperformed the blue chips. Bank stocks led the Nifty higher, with the index gaining over 0.5%. Midcap index also saw healthy gains of 0.5%. Moving on, shares of Evergrande plunged 87% after resuming trade after more than 1 year. The resumption of trade comes as the company posted a loss of nearly $5.4 billion. The company last traded on the Hong Kong exchange on the 12th of March 2022 before being suspended on the 21st of March 22. And speaking of China, U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo has called for stable ties with China in an attempt to patch relations between the two countries. On a 3-day visit to Beijing, Raimondo met with her Chinese counterpart and stated that it is crucial for the two nations to have a strong economic relationship. Eunice Yoon brings us the latest from Beijing. Eunice, what is Secretary Raimondo's message from the meeting with her Chinese counterparts?
Her main message, of course, is that the U.S. and China can still have a strong trading relationship despite the tensions and despite her department's export controls. Now, earlier today, on the first of 3 days of meetings here in China, she met with the Chinese Commerce Minister. She told the minister that the $700 billion of trade and stable ties are, quote, profoundly important. Before arriving to China, she told reporters that what she described as narrow and targeted U.S. export controls impact only 1% of trade, and that areas like Chinese tourism could generate $30 billion for the U.S. economy and potentially 50,000 U.S. jobs if tourism returns to its pre-pandemic levels. Now, to highlight the broader ties, the Secretary today attended an event that was highlighting the small and medium-sized U.S. companies that are selling into China, just to talk about how it's not only the big companies that are benefiting. The Chinese Commerce Minister said that his country is ready to work, he said, to foster a more favorable policy environment. Yet despite the pleasantries, it doesn't appear as though the two sides are really moving towards addressing some of the core policies that have been irritating the other side. For example, the Chinese state press has been pointing out that China's key concern is the U.S. restrictions on American investment into advanced Chinese IT. And Raimondo directly addressed this issue to the Commerce Minister at her meeting this morning, saying in matters of national security, there is no room to compromise or negotiate.
Former Governor of Bank of England Mark Carney has backed U.S. Fed Jerome Powell's monetary policy approach. Speaking exclusively to Shireen Bhan, Carney said Powell's comments on raising rates further was about how long policy was going to be tight and not where rates are going. He further said China's growth slowdown could be structural and not cyclical. Also added that the core of the global banking system is in a strong shape.
I've got to acknowledge what's going on in China and the slowdown there, which is not a cyclical slowdown. They're dealing with real structural issues in the property sector, for example. They'll work their way through, but we're going to see probably slower growth for a period of time, certainly than we're used to out of China for a period of time as they work through. So that's one of the headwinds for the global economy. What we're seeing that we have an advantage given the scale of capital that we have, quite frankly, in larger transactions, in bigger ticket investment, and ability. There's dry powder in the corporate sector more than there's dry powder in the financial sector. It's much more uneven, I would say, in the financial sector. I would say one thing that's pretty crucial, though, is that, in my view, the core of the banking system globally is in very strong shape.
And time for a short break, but coming up, the government says that 58 companies, including all major laptop companies, have applied for the revised IT hardware PLI scheme. Details when we are back. The government has clarified that there won't be any more extensions to the 31st August deadline for the revised IT hardware PLI scheme. Sources say 58 companies, including all major laptop companies, have applied so far. Ashmit Kumar is standing by with the details. Ashmit, over to you.
Well, keep in mind that it was just in the month of May that we had the PLI on IT hardware version 2.0, where the incentives on offer had more than doubled to 17,000 crore rupees. And now, the deadline nearing August 31st, what we're picking up from highly placed sources within the Ministry of Electronics and IT, that the interest in this PLI for IT hardware version 2.0 has been higher than expected. What we're picking up is that all major companies that manufacture laptops, tablets, as well as PCs have in fact have registered. As many as over 58 companies have registered under this PLI scheme for IT hardware. We understand that there is likely to be no further extension, not required now that there has been such strong interest. In fact, sources within the ministry tell us is that not only has there been interest from global companies, but also domestic players have applied under the scheme, hoping to benefit under that. Now, keep in mind that this is the government's play for ensuring that the mobile manufacturing story is replicated even for consumer electronics like laptops, tablets, as well as PCs. The formal deadline for making applications ends on August 31st.
And shares of Zomato surged today after equity worth 288 crores rupees changed hands as part of 3 large trades. Sources telling CNBC-TV18 that the lock-in period for private equity investors post the Blinkit deal has ended. Sources have also added that the investment banks are building a book to capture the demand for Zomato's shares. Quick look now at the other headlines we're tracking. Shares of Manappuram Finance rose in trade, snapping a 6-day losing streak. This after the Kerala High Court quashed the money laundering case against Managing Director VP Nandakumar. Remember, the Enforcement Directorate froze Nandakumar's assets worth 143 crore rupees after it conducted raids as part of an investigation in a money laundering matter. The government has said that that about 20% of the over 50 crore Jan Dhan accounts lie dormant, even as the deposit base has swelled to 2 lakh crore rupees. The government has said that this is in line with the industry trend. Shares of Vodafone Idea rose in trade after the company and the American Tower Corporation agreed to extend the redemption period of 8,000 optionally convertible debentures from 6 months to 18 months. Earlier, the OCD redemption period was 6 months from the date of allotment of the first tranche, which was due today. Brightcom fell over 5% after the firm announced a major change in its leadership. Chairman and MD Suresh Reddy and CFO Narayana Raju have resigned from their posts. The decision came after market regulator SEBI found lapses in the company's preferential issue of shares. In fact, it also barred both the chairman and the CFO from continuing their position until further notice. Brightcom has approved the commencement of a search for a new CEO and CFO. The centre has temporarily halted the export of basmati rice being sold for less than $1,200 a tonne. However, shipments that are above that price threshold will be allowed. The move is aimed at reining in domestic prices as well as checking the non-basmati exports, which are prohibited but being exported in the garb of basmati. And India is the most opportunity-rich growth market for IKEA, says India CEO Suzanne Palverer, as the Swedish home furnishing major completes 5 years in India this year. In an exclusive conversation with Shilpa Rani Peta, Palverer said that Delhi is the next big expansion market for IKEA, further adding that it wants to up local sourcing to 50% in the years to come.
India is one of the most opportunity-rich growth markets for IKEA. It's not big in size yet, but the opportunities to grow and how we see India is just so exciting. We have had 180 million visitations over the 5 years, and then that's including online.
Right. So are you looking to open more city stores?
Yes, we will open city stores and bigger stores. The next big expansion is Delhi market, where we are planning to open in an omni-channel way in end of 24. So it's not so far away.
Right.
And the first meeting place, which is a new concept for India, is a shopping center. We call it meeting place because it's to get people together, where we have an IKEA store. That is in 2 years from now. So progress in the construction and the planning of that, we are very much looking forward to Delhi as the next big market.
Are you looking at further upping your investments in the country?
Yes, we are. We believe a lot in India. The outlook is positive. I can only say that we are in the beginning. So we committed when we started up to 10,500 crore.
Yeah.
And with the investments in Delhi, we have booked that in. So next new investments will then come into new meeting places and stores.
So that will come post 2024?
I mean, the planning will have to start because these projects take a couple of years to realize. So we are in the planning of expansion phase 2.
Can you give me a sense currently as things stand, how much has the local sourcing from within India, from artisans, etc. grown? And I think the latest segment that you're focusing is on the wood part of it. If you can run me through that.
Yeah, it's around 30%.
Okay.
So the big jump will be when we get into the wood category. But I think we can grow more in other categories like sofas, and we are taking more models into production into India, for example. Mattresses almost all produced in India for the Indian market.
Right. So, I mean, with the wood factor also coming in, how much do you see that increasing?
I mean, ambition is absolutely 50.
All right, so that was IKEA bullish on India, saying that Delhi is going to be a future market for them as well. Moving on, NeerajChopra has become the first Indian to win gold at the World Athletics Championships in Budapest. He recorded a throw of 88.17 meters in his second attempt. Pakistan's Arshad Nadeem bagged the silver. 2 other Indians, Kishore Jena and DP Manu, finished in the top 8.
सभी बोलते थे कि यही मेडल बचा था, तो वो भी आज पूरा हो गया है और बस वो 90 मीटर वाला सवाल अभी हमको वो करना बाकी है. कोई बात नहीं, आज मैं सोच रहा था हो जाएगा, पर मेडल बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट था, गोल्ड मेडल. अभी अपने पास है ये, और अभी अगले और कॉम्पिटिशन्स हैं, अभी टाइम है, तो उनमें और ज़्यादा जोर लगाएंगे.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. News continues on the other side.